This is a preservation success story. You are looking at a photo from the fall of 1913 of a small cottage designed by Frank Lloyd Wright as a temporary residence for the Sherman Booth family in Glencoe, Illinois. Sherman Booth, Wright's personal attorney, is pictured on the lower right. His wife, Elizabeth, a noted suffragette, was on the left. Professor Michael Lewis, architecture critic for the Wall Street Journal, has written that the cottage was prophetic. Built of wood on a 3-foot modular grid, it prefigured the Usonian houses, the compact and informal dwellings that are Wright's most enduring contribution to the American suburb. In May of 2019, the cottage was sold to a private party who initially promised to preserve it, but reneged and filed for a demolition permit within a week of closing on the sale. Since the property had been accorded honorary landmark status, local ordinances required the imposition of a 6-month waiting period that allowed the Glencoe Historical Society to devise a plan to save the structure. To make a long story very short, GHS worked tirelessly with the Park District to finalize a 99-year lease for the cottage that would allow the building to be moved to a nearby park. And with the help of the Conservancy, GHS also worked to raise the necessary funds for the move. The lease was signed in late January 2020. The owners of the cottage agreed to donate the building to GHS in February, and then in March, the world changed. As we erected the fencing around the property in anticipation of the move, the governor of Illinois issued his first COVID pandemic stay-at-home order. After confirming that COVID restrictions would not prevent preparation work at the cottage, our contractor began to remove various elements with the goal of reducing the home to its original 1913 size and design. This photo is from early April when the contractor removed the garage. The porte-cochere over the front door was also removed, as well as several bedroom additions at the rear of the structure. By April of 2020, the cottage was ready to move, but due to COVID restrictions and other matters, it would be several more months before that actually happened. Final preparations began in July of 2020, and in the span of just 2 days, the movers placed steel beams under the cottage and lifted it off its foundations. The movers then placed additional beams below the elevated cottage in order to slide the structure off the foundation and over onto 3 Buckingham power dollies. In this photo, you can see the old foundation and the structures used to support the steel beams under the house. Here you see close up the dollies. They are multi-wheel assemblies that helped keep the cottage level during the move and allowed the movers to change direction. Using the dollies, the movers rotated the structure 90 degrees from its position above the foundation and onto the driveway, ready for the actual move to the park. On July 21st, 2020, with a group of about 150 masked and socially distanced residents and a large group of media watching, Andrew Heck of Wolf Movers walked alongside the cottage with a small control unit, guiding it down the driveway onto the street and down the road to the park that would become its new home. Fortunately, the route did not involve too many obstructions, things like power lines or telephone lines. There were some tree branches that needed to be removed as the house progressed slowly down the street. In a pandemic-weary community, the preservation and relocation of the cottage was an event to be celebrated. Video of the event was shown not only on all the major Chicago news outlets, but on many of the national news broadcasts as well. Due to some soil-bearing issues that required a change in the location of the cottage in the park, we were not able to get the new foundation completed before the actual move. As a result, the cottage was temporarily placed immediately east of its final site so that we could dig and pour the new foundation. On September 14th, 2020, the house movers returned at 8:30 in the morning to place steel beams over the new foundation. Shortly after 10:30, they began to slide the cottage over onto its new home. The house was lowered onto its foundation and secured around 1 p.m., and the movers were gone by 2:30 after a job well done. A spot survey revealed that the foundation was off laterally by only 1/4 of an inch at the southwest corner and by only 3/4 of an inch at the northwest corner. Considering normal construction tolerances and the fact that our contractor was dealing with a 100-plus-year-old wood frame structure, the accuracy of the foundation siding was phenomenal. During the fall of 2020, our crew installed underground utility lines and formed the walls for various entry platforms. Despite the fact that our contractor tested positive for COVID in late November, and we encountered additional snow delays after the start of the new year, exterior restoration has steadily continued to progress. By the end of the year, all of the exterior walls were closed. Work continued on the front entry canopy. The siding, which had been removed before the move, was reinstalled in preparation for painting, which needed warmer weather to complete. Most recently, our contractor has painstakingly recreated the screen detail at the front door of the cottage. In the past few weeks, efforts have focused on restoring the grading and the landscaping throughout the park. This photo, taken just a week ago, shows the forms erected for the new concrete sidewalk that extends across the park and takes future visitors up to the front door. Once the exterior work is finished, there is still much to do on the inside before we can open as a museum and research center. The Glencoe Historical Society is looking forward to completing the interior work and mounting an exhibit that will allow visitors to learn more about all of Wright's work in our community, which today remains the third largest location of Wright-designed structures in the world. If you would like to help, please visit our website for more information. We very much appreciate your interest and assistance.